Hello and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Carl. I really can't thank you enough for the kind words and comments that I see. I had never really thought that this series would get much traction at all. I thought for sure that I would make a couple of these, they'd be fun, and occasionally I'd maybe touch back in, but with the overwhelming positivity that I see from viewers, I have no choice but to continue. And I say that in a good way. I'm very thankful, and I love seeing the comments. A lot of people say that they'll kind of put this on in the background, maybe when they're getting ready for the day or whatever, and listen to it more of in a podcast style. So that means that I can do anything I want on screen, and you don't know it, right? So I don't know what that was. But either way, thank you so much. We have a couple cool things that have happened this week. A few really interesting products. The one thing that I wanted to tell you about, just on a personal note, is that I went to New York City and met Albert there. We ended up going to a couple of different places. Cockpit USA, for one, they actually have a store, but not a storefront on the ground level that you can go to, and it's an amazing place. Cockpit USA has been a company that I've sort of touched on in almost every video that I've ever talked about leather jackets in as a great alternative at a lower price point, because you can get made in the USA jackets there for a really good price. And I love the fact that they're still the supplier to the US Air Force, all that stuff. They have like deep roots. Even the owners, their son is a fighter pilot. I mean, like, they're the real deal, which is really cool. So we got to go up there and I got to see a lot of these things in person, including the B7 parka, which was something that I had spoken about. And Cockpit USA was one of the only places that actually offered one of these things. What an amazing piece. I mean, this parka was just unbelievable. And they're doing a couple of new really interesting things, models and stuff that have their roots in history, but are modernized. And I really am very impressed with what I saw over there. I'm a little bit embarrassed it took me this long to kind of take notice, but I'm glad that we're here now, and that was a lot of fun. From there, we went to Standard & Strange, and actually, to be fair, I've never been to Standard & Strange. I met Neil before, he's the owner, and I believe they started off over in Oakland in California, then came over here during the pandemic and opened up a store in New York City. And it was really cool because I got to see so many brands that I've only seen on Instagram. And I'm guilty of this too. When you're on Instagram and you're making posts, you're trying to make it the most beautiful post you possibly can. But holding it and seeing it in real time and being able to feel the material and the density and the weight makes a big difference. So being able to do that with some of these brands was just unbelievable. And I did video the whole thing, so I'm not sure exactly how that video is going to come out, but I will put it together so you can see it, because there were some really cool things there. All right, so what's interesting that came out this week? Well, Origin had their fall drop, and the product that stood out to me the most is their Origin Stealth hooded jacket. It's $200. It's made out of their Origin Stealth wool, which is heavyweight bonded wool, and it looks awesome. I'd love to get one of these. And on a sort of personal note, Pete from Origin is a really cool guy. A long time ago, when they started and they were making durable goods, as they called them, their boots and everything, I reached out and I said, hey man, I see what you're doing and it looks awesome. He called me and we had a great conversation about it. And then he had a podcast, which I don't think it's been on for a long time, but it used to be called Hands in Daylight. And it was really just about the value of hard work. And now I know that they might be polarizing, but I really like what they do, and I gotta tell you, their factory jeans are like the jeans that I probably wear more than any others. They're phenomenal. So I like this brand. I wanna see them do well, and I'm always excited to see what they come out with. Brave Star Selvage has their pre-order open for their Deputy CPO flannel shirt, which is made of 7.5 ounce Japanese merino wool. It's $168, and this looks incredible. That is a fantastic price for a wool shirt. And I gotta say, the designs look great, with the exception of one thing. I wish that companies would stop putting hand warmer pockets on shirts. Please. It ruins the shirt. I have a jacket. If I want to put my hands in something, I'll put them in there. And I know that what they're probably thinking is that, well, this is a wool shirt, and maybe that Actually, I take it back. I don't know what they were thinking. It's 7.5 ounces, man. This thing's pretty lightweight. Why would you want to put pockets in a shirt? I would say that if it didn't have pockets, I would buy one right away. Honestly, I would. They look awesome. I like what Bravestar does. I can even get past the star between the shoulder blades in the back that they insist on putting in and everything. Some people like that. I don't really care for it, but I can get past it. For this kind of thing with Japanese merino wool, it looks great. Man, those pockets ruin it for me, though. Limmer Boots out of New Hampshire came up with a new model that looks awesome, and it's called the Hiker. Now, look, Limmer, I'm not saying that you got to get real creative with every single name, but the Hiker, I mean, I kind of think of you guys as the hiking boot company. This doesn't tell me a whole lot. If they had maybe called it the hiking shoe or something, I could see it. Because what it basically is a great looking hiking shoe. And I gotta tell you, this thing does look great. As soon as I saw it in my Instagram feed, I was like, you know what? I don't really care for shoes over boots, but I can get behind these. I love them. They have a very interesting cap toe design, which is a very low cap toe because these have an almost monkey boot lacing style to them, but they look phenomenal. And they're $385, so they're not cheap, but I gotta tell you, looks like they did a really, really good job with these. And I think that when it comes to a summer option for a boot style shoe, these are gonna take the cake. I would love to get a pair of these. I think I might order one just for that because I am just very, very, very curious about these. And Limmer is one of those companies that I have known about for a long time and I have meant to cover more extensively, but just haven't. So maybe this is a great impetus to do that. Now, I want to kind of touch on something real quick because that's the wonderful thing about this format. I can do that, and you guys can tell me if I'm completely off my rocker. I think that I have in the past perhaps made the mistake of leaning a little bit too hard on natural fabrics and natural materials are best. In most cases, I still believe that's true, but there are some situations where it's probably better to find a synthetic alternative. I'll give you an example in the textile world. If a while back we wanted to order 100% cotton high-vis t-shirts. We were able to do it, but we were cautioned by the company that 100% cotton it's not very color fast, and that this lighter color is gonna fade to like a lime green or a pale yellow over time. That if we wanted something that would really hold that vibrant fluorescent color for longer, well then something that is synthetic would be better. And I can't believe that there aren't situations where a synthetic material is actually better than a natural material. And I don't mean that across the board, but I mean that sometimes I think it's easy to go, all right, blanket statement, all natural materials, natural leathers, all that stuff is better than any synthetic equivalent. I don't think that's the case. I think it really matters as to the application of that product. If what you're doing and what you need it to do is repeatable and consistent with a synthetic product, whereas with a natural product, it might be inconsistent and it may not do as good a job, it's hard to say that the synthetic wouldn't be superior. So I think all that to say, there are certain situations where a synthetic material or product would be a better alternative. And I feel like I have done a bit of a disservice to you as the viewer by always saying that natural materials are the way to go. I still believe that in a general sense, but I think that it deserves a footnote. That, you know what? Yes, natural materials are better unless what you need is For example, there is no way to do a waterproof sock inside of a boot if what you need is a waterproof boot with all natural materials. As far as I understand, that capability does not exist. So, it's kind of the right tool for the job, right? And it's something I've been thinking about lately quite a bit as I am constantly reevaluating the way that I perceive things and evaluate things. Well, we are coming up on Thanksgiving here in the United States, and I hope that you spend time with the people who you love the most and you have some good food and have some good conversation and just start your holidays off the right way. This is a tough time for a lot of people. I know a lot of people don't like the holidays, and when I was working on the railroad, they told me that this is the time now through Christmas that they see the most suicides. And that was shocking to me. And I asked them, how many suicides do you see? And they said about one a week. And now we're talking about the general sort of Southern Connecticut, Upper New York area. That was a lot. That seemed like an awful lot to me, but it kind of it kind of illustrates what I'm talking about, I think, with the holidays just being very difficult for a lot of people. If you had loss in your life or whatever the situation is, I just think that for some people, this time isn't exactly as merry as it is for others. So maybe if you find somebody like that where you work or among your friend group, maybe give them a little bit of a wider, a little bit more grace. There's that great saying, everybody you meet is battling something you know nothing about. And I think there's just so much to that, you know? I mean, people are going through stuff all the time, which we may not really understand. And maybe somebody has a sick relative at home, maybe just some sort of tragedy has come into their life, and I just think that maybe just trying to remember that, not everybody's as lucky as we are at the moment, and hopefully, will be into the future, is going to go a long way. So sometimes I think it's easy to kind of be like, stop being so bah humbug about things. You know what? We really don't know what they're going through. So I think sometimes just giving people a little bit more grace in this time of year is worth it. We really don't know what somebody else is going through, and assuming that they might be going through things we know nothing about, it could be a safe bet. And if that's you, if you are going through a hard time, I hope that this episode has done something to take your mind off of your situation. And if not, I'm gonna still make the videos, so you can watch if you want. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will catch you next time.